Today we're going to be doing a simple plane. So this is what I came up with so far, and this is our results that we get from this logic. Gotta speed up a little bit and then you're able to fly around, you know, like a plane. Got all three rotational movements, the yaw pitch and everything like that. Roll as well. Got some wheels on there. It's not exactly the most realistic physics that you can get. It's more like arcadey type feel, but I feel like this is a good start for anyone that's looking to make a plane or any plane arcade type of game. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started on this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go into edit mode. I'm going to just remix this because I did the after first. And we'll do before now. I'm just going to delete the logic and, well, I'm going to go over the logic first that I have, and then we'll get started on putting it together piece by piece. So over here, I have this cube here, and this is just a little way to get a more, a less fixed camera, so it's a little bit smoother than if you just had the camera on the plane itself. We'll go over that more later. And then over here we got the rotator that rotates the plane, we got the mover that makes it go forward, and then we have something that counteracts gravity here, and we have this thing that prevents some drift from the movement of the plane, like rotational drift specifically. So yeah, I'm actually gonna make a copy of this, and we're gonna go ahead and get started using the this microchip that's gonna be already on this plane when you get started. I'm gonna delete everything afterwards, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna move everything in here and we're gonna get started from scratch. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn off this plane and this as well. So now we just have an empty logic board, or motherboard I should say. Not motherboard. What was it? Microchip? Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So now, first things first is you want to get something to control your plane with. So we're going to go ahead and go to our sensors and input section, and we're going to go ahead and grab a controller sensor. That's going to let us control our plane. And I don't want to be able to get in or out. I just want it to be force possessed. So I'm going to delete all the wires coming out of this besides the respawn wire. Then I'm going to open up the properties, go to the important properties page, and I'm going to turn on force possession, which is the little button right here. Alright, and now we should be able to control or possess the plane, I should say. Next, we're going to want to get our camera set up. So we're going to go ahead and make a tag on our plane for player. And that's what our camera rig is going to teleport to the player with. You can make pretty much any camera rig you want. It can be a first person rig, or it can be third person, any controls that you want on it. For now, I'm just going to make a copy of that simple camera rig. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this down, this cube, to put our camera on. I'm going to put the properties in the properties panel with L1 and square. I'm going to go to the physical properties, turn off visible, turn off collidable. Then I'm going to go to our show and hide section, and you probably want to turn off preview and visibility if that's turned on, so you're able to actually see the cube. Then we're going to go to gadgets. We're going to do logic and processing. Get a microchip, and we're going to just stamp that on there. And Then we're going to go ahead and go to our movers and output section. We're going to get a teleporter. And we're going to open up the properties of that. And we're going to get the player. We want to teleport the player. And we don't want to match the target orientation. We only want to match the target position. Right? So now it should teleport to where we have that tag. But tag isn't exactly centered. So if you go ahead and select it with X, we're going to move around this gizmo until it's in the center, like so. Alright, and then another thing we want to do is we want to select this teleporter, and we're going to move the gizmo a bit forward here. And the reason why we're doing this is so we can have a the rotator to look in the same direction the plane is looking at. We'll get a little bit of an extra rotational view on it rather than just in the center here. Alright, next we want to get the actual orientation of the plane. In order to do that, we're going to go to the sensors and input section, and we're going to go ahead and get a movement sensor. And we're also going to use the movement sensor to get our speed later, so we can increase the dampening and stuff like that on our rotators, etc. So now that we have a movement sensor, we actually want to make it local space. And wherever what this arrow is, you want to output that from the movement sensor's properties, so Z direction, because that's the arrow right here on the front. And we're going to go ahead and get a look at rotator from the movers and output section. I'm going to place this on our camera rig. We're going to open up the properties of this, and we want this arrow to be facing forward, like so. And now we're going to go to the inputs and outputs section of our look at rotator, and we're going to just input the Z direction output from our movement sensor into the scene space direction. So this will give us, this means it's basically a 3 number vector, and X, Y, and Z, and it tells you, or it tells this on a like a sphere, basically, what direction is forward. So now that we have that, it should follow our plane like so. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to speed this up by increasing the rotation strength. Let's do about 99% dampening as well. We're not doing 100%, so it's not like directly on top of it. I think if we did 100%, it would still be, yeah, okay. 100% is good. We can increase the speed too as well if you want. We're going to align our plane to the grid, and then we want to put the camera on here actually. So we're going to open up our gadgets, and then we're going to go to the cameras and lighting section. Go ahead and grab a camera, place that onto the microchip. I'm going to play time and then pause time, and then I'm going to go ahead and edit the camera until we get it into a position that we like so. Alright. And now, after we have the camera set up, we're going to want to go ahead and get started on our plane logic. So let's open up our gadgets menu, and we're going to get a splitter, because we want to split the output of our sticks in order to get the directions, and we also want to get a combiner, because we're going to use the, not the triggers, but the bumpers, I think that's what they're called, in order to do the, I think it's yeah. So we're going to go ahead and open this up, the controller sensor, and we're going to go ahead and go to the third page, because we want to get the left stick local. Otherwise, if we use just left stick, it's going to be modified by the camera, and we're not going to get the values that we want. So we just want the raw data unmodified by the camera, so we're going to get left stick local on the third page of the controller sensor, and we're going to input that to our splitter here. Next, we're going to go to the first page, and we have L1 and R1. L1 is going to go to positive, and R1 is going to go to negative. And the reason why we're doing it backwards is because the input is pretty much backwards by default. So now we are going to go ahead and get a advanced rotator from our movers and output section. Go ahead and place that down. And we're going to want to slow these down a lot, especially for our pitch. Not pitch, but yaw. So you can do L1 and square to actually go ahead and input numbers here. I'm going to do 75 degrees for our y-axis. Our x-axis, I'm going to do 100. And I'm going to do 100 for z-axis as well. I'm actually going to go ahead and cross-check this with my reference here. Yeah, it is a bit too high. So 75 on our x and z actually, and then 45 on our y. Okay. And then we want to do local space down here. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that our little ball here is pointed directly up. So if this doesn't work, if aligning it to the grid doesn't work, you want to do precise move and just go straight up as far as you can. And it should align it pretty well. So Y is our yaw, Z is our pitch, and X is our roll. So that's what we need to know for our speed. So we have X, so that would be our roll, and Y is our pitch on our splitter stick here. So we're going to go ahead and input the left right into our roll, which is X, and then our pitch is Z, and then yaw is going to go ahead and be our combiner from our L1 and R1. Alright, that takes care of the speed for now. And just go ahead and check what we're doing over here. It's pretty complicated, so that's what I thought. It takes a lot of tweaking in order to understand like everything that's going on. So we're going to go ahead and set the rotation strength to 99% on our advanced rotator. Our damp is going to be 100, Y is going to be 100, Z is going to be 100 for all of our dampening. And then we want to get a calculator out. And this is going to tell us if we are like going like at any amount of noticeable speed. So we're going to go ahead and open up the calculator properties. We're going to set it to greater than, and then operand 2 we're going to go ahead and set it to 1 with L1 and square. So it does left and then right side. So A is left side, B is right side. So if left side is greater than right side, then we output a signal of 1, a Boolean value of true. Alright? So we want A to be our speed, so we're going to set the velocity overall from our movement sensor, and we're going to put that into A of our calculator. Then we're going to go ahead and open up our advanced rotator. We're going to output the result of the calculator to the rotation strength, and we don't want to override. We want to change the wire blend mode to modulate. So instead of completely overriding the rotation strength into just a 0 to 100 value, we're multiplying this number by this number. So 0 to 1, so false would be 0, true is 1, so multiplied by 99. So when this is on, this is going to be 99%, and when this is off, it's going to be 0%. And next we need to modify our dampening, and actually I think first we're actually going to set up our movement forward. So we're going to go ahead and get a just regular mover from our movement and sensors. I think movement and output. Yeah, movers and output section. And we want to go ahead and hook up our R2 input directly to that. And we're going to change that later to smooth it out a bit, but for now we're just going to go ahead and output directly to it. And we're going to go ahead and open this up, and we're going to set the movement strength. I believe 100. Forward speed is going to be about 11 meters a second. You can make this faster if you want. It really depends on your scene. Like anything above like 20 meters is like really fast. Overall dampening, I think, let me go ahead and check this. Yeah, we have it set to 50%. And then dampening specifics. We don't want to damp in up and down. We only want to damp in the direction our mover is going. And we actually need to set our mover to local space as well. There we go. And we want the Y to be up and down. And we want the arrow to be facing forward on our mover here. So if it's not that, we're going to go to the precise move and move this little arrow up again. Not the arrow, but the ball for Y. And I think we might want to realign the arrow. It's so hard to tell sometimes. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't... I don't know why they can't just have you align it to the grid. There's not really a way to do it too well to the grid. Well, actually, did that help? I can't tell. Nope. See. So, usually you want to do wherever the center of mass is at the default location. And just make the X for forward. Where your arrow is, go forward, and then Y is up and down. Where this ball one is. Then we're going to go to dampening specifics. We're not going to dampen Y, because that's going to be managed by something else. We want to damp in Z, I think 100%, and in X as well. Let me check our reference over here. No, just Z, which is left and right, and then the direction our mover is, so 100% here. Alright, so now we should get some kind of actual usability. Maybe, maybe not. No, because unfortunately there's no real lift in Dreams, so we need to fight against gravity in order to actually move up and down. Even with our rotator at like 100% strength, if we go look straight up, as soon as we level out to go forward, the plane is going to immediately start falling because there's no lift. So we have to simulate lift. And we're going to simulate lift with another mover. So I'm going to go ahead and get another one from a movers and output section. It's going to be just a regular mover. I'll place it down here. And this is not going to be local space, I think. Pretty sure. Actually, just let me double check over here. No, it is going to be local space. And it's going to be actually the same direction as our regular mover. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that over as well. And I'm just going to copy it instead of getting a new one. I'm going to reset everything to default here. And we want the forward speed to be 0%. Because this isn't moving, it's just dampening for us. So we're also going to turn down movement strength. And overall dampening, we want to be at 100%. Dampening specifics, we're going to dampen the Y in the Z direction. And the reason why we're dampening in Z and Y is because if you're on your side, like so, then you can end up falling down because this isn't dampening in the Z direction, which is this. And I don't know why. It works completely differently if you turn off local space. I had to play with this a lot in order to get anything actually reliable. So now we have a basic plane. You can change it as much as you want. I mean, there's still some more stuff that I can go over. Like, for example, our camera. I'm going to go over everything that I have in here. So there, you can see that there's more stuff. But on our camera here, we want to make this keep upright, for one. And let's see. Now we want to... We're going to get it a little bit more advanced. And we're going to get a signal manipulator. And we're going to get a couple of these. So I'm going to copy this. And the signal manipulator is in your logic and processing section. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to hook up our R2 output from our controller into a signal manipulator instead of directly into our mover. Then we're going to hook this up into our forward speed, and we're going to output smooth this about 6 seconds smooth rise and 6 seconds smooth fall. You can adjust this as much as you'd like, but this is basically the time it takes to get to full throttle. And we're also going to get the next thing is kind of a bit more complicated. So we're going to output velocity overall into our signal manipulator here, down here, that I made a copy of for the mover. And we're actually going to go into the properties of this, and we're going to do custom remapper. Now this is going to be a little bit scary, kind of, or it's pretty complicated. So we're basically going to be remapping the thresholds here, I believe. Let me just double check with my logic over here, actually. Oh no, it's just a... no, yeah, I do have advanced stuff here. Yeah. I think... yeah, it's not really advanced. What I'm doing here is I'm taking our value of our speed, which we know from our mover up here that our average speed is going to be like 11 meters a second. That's going to be our maximum speed, theoretically. So we're going to go ahead and open up the properties here, and we're going to do in. We're going to move this line up to 11. So we're going to move it up as far as it'll go, to 10, and then we're going to move it up to about 11. And then I think I did clamp values, I'm not sure. No shaping, okay. So yeah, this is going to force our movement, instead of being a direct value of what our actual speed is. It's clamping it down into a 0 to 1. So since we know what our maximum speed is, we're able to set the maximum speed in the signal manipulator and have the maximum speed be 1 and the minimum speed be 0. And then we're going to go ahead and output the signal manipulator here into our dampening in our advanced rotator. And again, we want to set these into modulate. So the faster we're going, I think the better we have in dampening. So basically, the faster you're going, the less you're rotating from natural forces, which is, I guess, accurate. It's kind of arcadey, as I said. It's not like actual, like, mathematical, physical stuff that would be possible, I think. I mean, I'd have to look into Wikipedia for, like, months. Not months, maybe, like, a month. I spent, like, so long doing split-screen logic, I'd probably end up taking a few weeks just finding out how to do advanced, like, actual real-world physics with planes and dreams. So I kind of don't want to do that. I don't really have the time to do that either. So that's why we're doing kind of like arcadey physics. Alright, now that we have this, I think our next signal manipulator that we have is just a smoothing one. And we're going to smooth the output from our previous signal manipulator. And I think it's pretty low. It's about, I think, let me just double check. 0, so it goes up instantly, but it falls, takes about 3 seconds in order to fall. And that goes into our dampening, and again, it's going to be modulate. And I think we have one last thing after that, because this works pretty well. But if we go ahead and level our plane, you can see that we slowly, like, look upwards. Like, I'm not doing anything, but we're slowly rotating upwards. So that's the next thing that we're gonna fix. Oh man. There we go. And we're also, like, slowly rotating on our roll when we're trying to do yaw. So I believe if we do this next step, it should alleviate those problems. And we also kind of have like this nice amount of time after flying. Like I'm full throttle and then I cut off the throttle and we're kind of like drifting when we fall. I mean, it's possible to get better results than that, but let me check. I think I could have sworn I had better results than that. When I'm playing over here, 3 seconds, 0, huh, 100%. Oh, why? There it is. It's different. It's not entirely. I think I'm just doing 90%, 95% damp in the Y, and I think it was 65% damp in the Z. And this is so we're not at full dampening. I think we get a little bit better results this way. I'm not entirely sure. No. I mean, we're still falling. I'm not sure if that's how I had it in the the other plane logic. Okay. And by the way, this is one of my very first sculpts in the game. Like during beta, this is my one of my very first things that I made next to a tree. So I didn't make these wheels until now, but this is one of my very first things that I ever made, including this plane. Like the logic on this plane, I'm refining it from my very first plane that I've ever made in Dreams, which was like my first creation. So I've come quite a while, come quite a ways since then. Again, I could probably take like a month on a plane and make it a lot better than this, but that would take a month. I don't want to take a month, especially for YouTube. I don't think they would allow month-long videos on their platform. I don't think anybody would watch it anyway. I think, is that everything other than the next step? Yeah, I think that's it in that regard. So next we're going to be making it so when we are not doing anything with the sticks, we have more of a stable, I think would be pitch, yeah. More of a stable pitch when we're not doing anything with sticks. So first of all, we're going to want to get a NOT gate from a logic and processing section. And this is just to say, hey, we're not moving the stick, so we're just going to plug in the X and Y outputs from our splitter here into our NOT gate. And next, we're going to go ahead and get a look at Rotator. And then after that, we want to make a tag for this look at player to look at. So we're going to copy our player tag, and then we're going to rename it to tip. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. We have to align the arrow, or not the arrow, but the tag with this arrow. And you can go ham on this. You can do as much as you want, make it as accurate as you want. In fact, this isn't really necessary unless you want to get rid of that drift, like I was talking about. So let me just try to do that for you. As you can see, we're not directly on this arrow like I would want. That's what you want to do, is basically get it directly on it. Then we're going to go ahead and move it forward. I can get a hold of it. No. No. There we go. Move it to the tip of the plane. And then I'm going to use the grid snap to rotate the thing backwards so we have a bit of a match that we can look at. And we want this to be as close as possible. We also want to move it a little bit down, so we're looking down a bit to counteract that tipping upwards effect that we have. And then I think, let's see, 50%, 100% dampening, not looking upright. Then we're gonna we're gonna move down the maximum distance pretty low, so we just get less of that green sphere everywhere. And we want 100% dampening, and we're gonna look for that tip tag that we just made. And we're gonna go ahead and plug in this not output into the power of our look at rotator. Or actually, I think we just did the dampening. Or what was it? No. Oh, I guess the strength? Yeah, strength works. Yep. Okay. Now, when we are doing nothing, you can see that we're still kind of drifting up, and we may be even drifting up to the right. Let me go ahead and recenter our plane. Hit play. I mean, not drifting up to the right, but up to the left. That would mean we want to move that little gizmo, or tag gizmo, down to the left. I mean, down to the right. Just a smidge. And you want to keep playing with this until you get the results that you want. See, now I am drifting to the right, so we moved it a little bit too much to the right, so we want to move it back to the left. And you can keep refining this as much as you want, but this is a very basic plane that you can do more with if you so desire. If you want more realistic controls, I guess you can request that, or, and I'll look into it. I'll look into plane physics and see if I could get a simplified equation to plug in for lift and everything like that. I doubt that would happen, though. I mean, there's other plane controls on the Dreamiverse as well, so you don't just have to make your own. There's some people that have already taken the time to put in very, very good plane physics and stuff like that. But this is a very simple plane. Controls pretty well. You could make a variable for speed instead of using just a signal manipulator, and you could get like pausing, limit your thrust and stuff like that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a shorter one. Wasn't really expecting that, but like, comment, and subscribe. Also got a Patreon if you want any help. If you want to get help directly from me from Discord, I always respond to people when they ask questions in there. So if you're looking for a good Dreams Discord server, I got a Patreon exclusive one, or patron exclusive one, so there's that. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a great day. Bye.